Truly delighted to have you on Siasa Brigade, your go-to point on matters governance and politics at large. I'm yours truly, Richard Mwanja. Indeed, a pleasure to have you on board. Now today we're talking a plethora of issues in the world of Kenya's politics. And with me on this conversation is none other than the only name in matters political analysis, this side of the Sahara, Herman Manyora. Welcome on the show, sir.
Thank you, Richard.
Are you well?
Oh, wonderful.
You've just called our fellow economist, Patapote economist, David Ndii.
Yeah, Patapote.
And actually the Association of Kenyan Economists wants you to offer a public apology.
Why?
That's a senior member of the association.
I'm talking about his Patapote policies.
You're saying it's misleading the president.
Let's buy oil using Kenya shillings. That is not possible. Then you say, let's borrow. We pay in 6 months. And that's, if we don't use our dollars on oil, which is a major outlet for our dollars, we'll stabilize. The demand will be low for dollars. And the dollar on the shilling will go easier. Now, it was about 120 something. We are heading to 150. Look at the cost of borrowing now. An extra 20 something shillings per dollar. The difference between if we had paid for our oil at the time we bought it and if we pay for it. Even Shiloh cannot charge that kind of money.
And the best...
Shiloh cannot charge us that money. The money we will now have to pay for the oil we borrowed. Ostensibly to ease the demand on the dollar. And bring it stabilize. Now look at what is going to cost the country. Huge difference between what we would have paid then and now. More than if you got the money from a Shiloh.
You're making some sense, but did you just have to use Patapotea?
It's Patapotea, Kubatisha, Patapotea.
You're just trying
to... That was Patapotea. Hoping that in 6 months, when we now pay this thing, the dollar will have stabilized and it will make some economic sense. It didn't make, so Patapotea.
Telling that to a man who has offered blood, sweat and tears in the world of public policy analysis.
It does not pay dividends.
It does not pay dividends? Do you think
the country is going to pay because of these kind of policies? And they are not, it's not just the oil. There are many other things that they are doing that for which the country will pay. Kenyans will pay dearly. So we have to call them out.
Could you have done a better job if you're him?
Of course. Much better. No comparison.
No comparison?
No comparison.
That of the way.
I'll get, if you want oil at affordable prices, you can offend the Americans and go to Iran and cut a deal with Iranians.
And that's it.
You can do better trade with oil for tea with some other countries. They are better. You can think of new ways. Think outside the box. Yeah.
Very well.
Yes.
All right. Straight to our day's conversation. And let's begin with sentiments coming from Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. That was his statements towards Raila Odinga on the US ambassador issue. He tells Raila Odinga to let the Meg Whitman be, and that even Raila Odinga is not sufficient enough to dismiss a chief. He cannot even dismiss a chief in this republic, so who is he to call out on the US ambassador? Let me ask you, for Rigathi Gachagua, would you say that trying to belittle Raila Odinga is one of the surest way he can send Raila Odinga to political oblivion?
You see, you cannot use Raila Odinga and Gachagua in the same sentence. They are not the same level. Gachagua is a small boy.
President.
Compared to Raila. When men are talking, he cannot be talking there.
He can't?
No, he can't.
The second in command in a country?
I mean, he's an important person. He's a senior person. He's a deputy president. But he's not in the league of Raila Odinga.
It is the same Gachagua who actually made Odinga never to be the president of the republic.
No, they are not in the same league. Raila belongs the same league with Ruto and Uhuru in this country. There's nobody in that league now. Gachagua in the second tier, which is still high up there because since Tuko 10th. Tuko 10th tier.
He's still up
Gachagua there. Second tier, which is very high up there, but not in the same league with Raila Odinga.
But then again, if he continues with this trend, trying say to quote-unquote belittle Raila Odinga, do you think in the fullness of time it will probably reduce Raila Odinga to a little man?
No, it is him who will come out looking bad. Because if you are saying that and Raila has forced the country to go to bombers, you say he cannot sack assistant chief, leave alone, and he cannot recall a US ambassador, leave alone sack an assistant chief. I mean, you cannot sack assistant chief, leave alone call for the recall of the American ambassador. But here is a man who causes a lockdown of the country. And only Corona can do that. Only Raila and Corona can cause a lockdown.
No one else.
Who else in this country? Only Corona and Raila. So you can't compare yourself. The assistant chief is talking about if he had Raila is just unhappy, he would run away. He would not wait to be sacked. He would run away at a hammer. Ambia tu, oye assistant chief, tumesikia Jacomo anasema wewe ni mtu mbaya. Hiyo tu atahama.
Are you exaggerating Raila's abilities out
But
of
I'm saying
illusion?
what you have seen. Haven't you seen it? Ruto and Raila could work together, whether Gachagua likes it or not.
There is that
And number
possibility?
two, if they work together, it will be at the expense of Kalonzo and Gachagua. It is a no-brainer. It goes without saying.
It goes without saying.
Yeah.
Very well. Still on the conversation, I'm looking at something that Irungu Kangata said over the weekend, and he's talking about the need for unity in the Mount Kenya bloc, saying very soon the Somali community is going to even take over business in this country and also in the political scene. Would you say that somewhat his call for united Mount Kenya it does make sense, and probably the community, the gamer community, should probably see that as a point of concern?
Of course. Of course. You know, there are people who are wondering, have Kikuyus been overrated over the years? The way the Kikuyus have behaved in the past 1 or 2 years leaves doubt as to whether really they are the people many Kenyans thought they were. Because people look at the Kikuyu who was famed for Mau Mau, the Kikuyu who are supposed to be holding the economy of this country, the Kikuyu who produced the first president, the Kikuyu who are the most populous community. Can they really have allowed themselves to be tossed around the way they have been tossed around? So that is what perhaps Irungu Kangata is addressing now. Look, from a business point of view, the Somalis are overtaking you. From a political point of view, because he who holds the purse has the say. So with the Somali community and by extension the Muslims are going to be the control of the shilling in this country. And you can see the way in which Islam is spreading, the way in which the Somali population is growing until people are thinking it's not true. Yet they know Somalis marry 4 wives, 3 wives, and they are saying it's not possible.
And now strategic positions in government.
Yes, and now how they have all the strategic positions. Look at the security sector. Perhaps apart from Ogola, everybody else is a Somali, and Ogola and the Kome. Everybody else is a Somali. So Kangata is saying, look here, you are losing the economic war, on the economic front, you are losing to Somali. In terms of politics, they are occupying very strategic positions in government. And as a Muslim community, they have the numbers. Soon, you will be displaced. And I think the Kikuyus are more or less been displaced.
Already?
Already.
So
look, let me tell you why.
All right.
In 2027, we don't have a Kikuyu bold enough to take on William Ruto.
None?
I'm not seeing them. If they were there, this would be the time. Anybody waiting for 2032 is dreaming, and I'll tell you why. In fact, there can be no better time for a Kikuyu to come up than in 2027. And that will mean they will face Ruto. The way I've challenged lawyers, if Mudavadi wanted to be president of this country, this is the only time he has to defy William Ruto and face him head on in 2027. Let's look at 2032 for both of them. Mudavadi will be like 70 years or more in 2002. The world is changing so fast that a 70-year-old person in this country will look like they are 100 years in 10 years from now. You know what I mean? The way the world is changing, the world is belonging to young boys and girls now. So at 70, you still want to be president from outside. That's from Mudavadi. Gachagua the same, around the same age. But more importantly, do you think this country will have another Kikuyu president in 2032?
Maybe Justin Muturi.
It will be very difficult. Actually, it will be dangerous for the country.
It would?
It will be very dangerous for the country. So the only time you have, hii kitu unaweza kungangania 2027. So if Gachagua wants to be president, he will have to defy Ruto and stand against him in 2027.
Are you into office?
Because that clash, politics is built on dynamics of clash. That clash between Ruto and Gachagua will be very exciting. It will galvanize the Kikuyu community around Gachagua or Jimmy Wanjigo or whoever it will be, a powerful Kikuyu politician. But if you wait for 2032, it's a natural development. That natural development cannot produce a Kikuyu president. That natural development, Mudavadi and Gachagua will be fighting for the ticket. They will annihilate each other. They will finish each other. And for Gachagua, I don't think the country will be ready for another Kikuyu president in 2032. Never. From a Kalenjin to a Kikuyu. If they are fighting with a Kalenjin, a Kikuyu and a Kalenjin are fighting in 2027, that makes sense.
It makes sense.
But if a Kikuyu is waiting for a Kalenjin to hand over the baton, the country will come to a standstill. They will say no.
So then for Rigathi Gachagua to find his true north towards clinching the presidency in 2027, should he harbor those interests?
Just find a way of differing with Ruto.
That's it.
And even Mudavadi the same. Just find a way. Saying nothing, I can't have this. Ukasirika kabisa. Hata hii mambo ya bombers. Angesema, I'm walking out of this government.
And undergo the same thing Ruto underwent.
You don't even need to remain in government. The Kikuyu have numbers and they are political and they are conscious. They are not like our Luyas who don't want to use their numbers. If Luyas use their numbers, Mudavadi will be one of the most formidable candidates in 2027.
Do you think Rigathi Gachagua will have the stamina to take in the...
If he's waiting, I'm only saying this as a person who understands politics.
All right.
If Gachagua is waiting for 2032, atosheke na kuwa deputy president. He cannot be president. Not in 2032. A Kalenjin hands over the baton because the chances of Ruto being defeated in 2027 are very slim.
Very slim.
Very slim. Especially if what I'm saying doesn't happen. The only time Ruto can go home is if Mudavadi, Gachagua, they defy Ruto. And there is a fight. There will be 4 candidates. There will be a Raila there, or the person Raila supports.
Kalonzo.
There will be Mudavadi, there will be Kalonzo will be there, or in the mix, and Ruto. Hakuna mtu atakuwa ati anapata 50%. The victor will get 30-something%. Then there will be round 2. They can't be around 1 victory. If Gachagua and Mudavadi defy Ruto, they can't be around 1 victory. And any of those 4 can win the election. That is the only way, the only time, and the only way in which Gachagua can be president of this country. If he waits for 2027, the country cannot accept.
The country cannot accept.
No.
So if he's go that path of going against Ruto and going for the seat in 2027, would it then mean he needs the support?
He will start as the front runner. He will win round 1. Gachagua will win round 1. He will now have to figure out how to get another community to work with him in the second round. But round 1, he will be the one who will, because the Kikuyus have more votes than anybody else. So he will be number 1. Mudavadi, if he galvanizes the Luyas, will be number 2 or number 1. Then Raila, if he's there, and Kalonzo and anybody else, number 3, number 2. But in the second round, it's not always the case that the one who is number 1 wins. Even number 4 could now win. No, I mean number 2 rather. Yeah.
Could win.
Yeah.
So now for Rigathi Gachagua, would it then mean it would necessitate him to have the political blessings of the Uhuru Kenyatta's family?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
That taking on Ruto is enough.
It's enough.
To galvanize the Kikuyu community is enough. For anyone who can face Ruto from the mountain, seriously, not just in a token way. And let me tell you, if Mudavadi defied Ruto, Gachagua defied Ruto, those 2 will go for a runoff.
Automatic one.
Automatic. There will be nobody else, not Raila, not Kalonzo, nobody. It will be Mudavadi and Gachagua in the runoff. And now, that's why I think Mudavadi stands a higher chance. Because he has a national appeal which Gachagua does not have. So in a runoff, watu watakasirika lakini watampatia tu.
You just said Gachagua does not have the national appeal.
No, compared to Mudavadi.
Compared to Mudavadi.
Yes. And if I'm Mudavadi, I'll go for this thing in 27. And I'll get it. And if I'm Gachagua, I'll try 2027. Because I know Mudavadi may not try.
That would mean he needs to be very bold.
Extremely bold.
Extremely bold.
Yes.
All right.
Hyper bold.
Hyper bold.
Yeah.
Like you are.
Or like me.
And that's why you're facing
No, even half as bold as me. Yeah.
But at least
you only need to be half as bold as me.
As in?
And face Ruto in 2027. Yeah.
Very well, there you have it from a man born Manyora talking matters, gamer, politics, and what the future holds for that particular electorate with regards to Kenyan politics. That has been our conversation today on Siasa Brigade, your go-to point on matters on political analysis and governance at large. Always a pleasure to have you on board. Do tune in to our other editions on the channel with Jadiel Kabiro, Evans Okinyi, and Mundia Gitau. Until next time, God bless.